Okay, so everyone knows the sad state of education, public education in the United States versus the world. Here are some stats about California, which is a sadder part of the US. And then overlay this, what's going on in South San Francisco, which is where you are today. There are 40% of students here are low income by federal standards. About 35% are English language learners. Classrooms have 30% fewer dollars per student than neighboring school districts. 44 different languages are spoken in the district. It's a pretty amazing melting pot of the Bay Area. And so what we're looking to do is really, is this working now? Excellent. So I'd like to showcase a video right now. This was our sort of anthem as we launched what we call Future Lab. In 2015, Genentech decided we wanted to make a bigger impact, and we are really working for patients. But we found a parallel track that we were really excited about, and that was around education and K through 12 education. And then we said, hey, well, the education that we're most passionate about is really science education, right? And how can we move the needle on science education? Science education, we looked directly in our neighborhood right here, and we saw that kids were not going on field trips. Kids did not have assemblies. Kids did not have the opportunity to connect and get beyond their immediate families to see the professionals and the biotech that was going on right here in South San Francisco. And here's the video.
Majority of our students have hard lives. Families that are living in a one-bedroom apartment with two families, not one. They're exposed to the facilities at Genentech, being inside a scientific building, and what does that look like? What does a scientist look like? To get to know that they look like maybe their sister, their brother, their cousin, and that could be them.
South San Francisco is a friendly community. A lot of people know each other. You feel safe. My dad is from El Salvador. School is #1 priority.
I'm going to give an assignment. It's difficult to assume that the kids will have the resources to do the research, to type up paper up. I don't think a lot of kids actually have computers. When I first started here, I was in a portable. Trying to do labs was difficult, trying to get 4 desks, put them together to make a table. So I do enjoy coming to school every day.
I worked at Stanford Research Institute. I did immunology research, but decided that I had a great experience in my public education. And so I just wanted to give back to the community that I grew up in.
I love science. I learn best by doing hands-on work. I met some of my closest friends through doing lab. I am on my way to an A. I'm almost there.
I like reading. Me gusta leer. Cuando sea grande quiero ser doctor. My favorite subject is math.
They get to play with an idea.
I like to do experiments.
That has always been a value of science. That exposure could then lead into this interest of science that could then lead into middle school, and it developed into high school, and it developed into college. Science as a career.
So what is Future Lab? Let me give you a couple of the the goals of what we're trying to do. Yep, perfect. All right. So Future Lab's really looking to engage students K through 12 in age-appropriate science. It's really about getting kids excited here in South San Francisco about science and really connecting them to biotechnology and the amazing innovation that's happening. The goal is to fill your seats here ultimately in the personalized medicine 30.0 in 20 years, and really connect the kids to those STEM jobs and specifically biotech jobs with an eye towards diversity in STEM, because Genentech and other biotech companies and other STEM companies really need that diversity of thought to really tackle those complex problems that are out there. And then also, and a really important piece of this short term, is around engaging our employees and making Genentech an amazing place to work, which it's been for over 20 years. So some of our design principles, and some of this is from the education world, first off, it's a very democratic view. Every student is to be engaged, not just the best and the brightest, as oftentimes those kids who are self-selecting as, I'm good at science, not just those kids, but all students. Also, really looking to make science meaningful and magnetic, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. The latest teaching methodologies and standards that are out there in the academic world, really looking to not just the academics, but also the well-rounded human growth mindset, if you guys are familiar with that. So in other words, I can actually, if with practice I can get better at something, I'm not just fixed and born with a particular skill set. Really looking at teachers as being a key support mechanism and delivery mechanism for students, plus all of the assets at Genentech, not just money, but also time, talent, in-kind resources. And a couple of attributes that we have really baked into Future Lab. One is that it's a hyper-local approach. And we work with the whole South San Francisco Unified School District across all of the schools in the district. This is something that no other company really does, is embrace one particular school district across all of the facets. Second piece here is really hands-on STEM. So we know that a lot of kids don't connect to books. That's not the best way for them to particularly be learning. Many kids are good at that, but a lot of kids aren't. And so hands-on is an essential component to how kids are learning and how we really get their curiosity to attack their education. And then mentoring, right? So the human connection, the human piece of kids being able to visualize their potential selves in other adults beyond their immediate family is a really important piece here. And for employees, being able to see the impact that they make and that they have in another human being is an incredibly big part of why these programs are so effective internally. And finally, really, that close partnership with South San Francisco Unified. These are programs that were developed by South San Francisco for South San Francisco, and we meet on a weekly basis with the school district to really come up with how to engage the students. This is not something where a big company has come in and said, hey, here's a bunch of cool stuff, do it. On the far right, that's Dr. Chanterre Moore, who's the superintendent of schools. And to showcase to you here, these are 3 signature programs that we have set up, K through 12. Gene Academy is an on-site weekly mentoring program at Genentech. It's for 3rd through 5th graders. It's about getting kids excited about science, right? Science is fun. This is wow science. Blow things up, turn them on, shoot bottle rockets, understand basic concepts of science. HiLux Cup is a middle school science competition that's not just for the best and brightest. It's for every 8th grader in the entire school district participates in the science competition for 6 months. And then Science Garage is a biotech curriculum. It's a 4-year biotech pathway throughout high school. And it's also a a biotech teaching facility, $7.8 million teaching facility on the grounds of South San Francisco Unified School District. And it's going to be coming ribbon cutting this fall. I'll dive into each one of these a little bit more. So Gene Academy, this is a program that we've had going since 2008. And 200 kids come on campus every week for an entire academic year. They meet 2-on-1 with their mentors. Each kid has 2 mentors. And they do just basic homework help, alternating with those fun science experiments, right? And this is for a lot of the kids really one of the few times that they have one-on-one, and here 2-on-1 time with an adult, right? A lot of their family members are working 2 or 3 jobs, and about 75% of these kids are English language learners here. So we have 400 Genentech mentors involved here, and we know from teachers that kids show up to school on Mondays because they're going to Gene Academy that afternoon, right? And this is an incredibly fun thing on campus to see 200 kids coming in school buses every week with their giant backpacks on their shoulders. So this program's been going on for a while, and on the bottom right, we have a whole outcomes impact framework that we're working on right now, but these are some of the outputs that you can kind of see. 98% see an improvement in the attitude toward science, right? And on the bottom left, 100% of our volunteers agree this makes it a great place to work. HiLux Cup is a science competition, but it's a science competition that really works on grit, on creativity, on teamwork. All students in South San Francisco are part of a team. Those teams solve science and design challenges. This year we had an egg drop, and then we had a robot build, and then we had a centrifuge build, and we had a cooler build, right? An evaporative cooler build. And the students are going through this competition with 110 volunteer coaches who go into the classrooms, who get the kids thinking about what's the science? How are you designing this? What's going to prevent you from succeeding? Have you tested it, right? And so this is the place where students who are not the best and the brightest are really excelling, right? And they're excelling because they have great collaboration, they have great teamwork, they have the ability to try and fail repeatedly and really come to a solution that's going to work. We have classroom challenges, and then we have big semifinals within each middle school, and then the top teams come to Genentech, where we have the head of our research welcoming the kids and teaching the kids the science behind the challenge. So super exciting. We have a lot of shock and awe as part of these programs, right? The meaningful and magnetic. You might have done an egg drop at a school previously, but this is a scissor lift, an industrial scissor lift that you're having your principals going up to and actually dropping your eggs down from. Makes it super fun and compelling. And a few stats here. Kids are more excited about science. We talk in terms of coolness, right? More kids know, 47% of students, gained interest in a job in science. HiLux Cup was the best thing we've done the entire school year, is what we hear from students. And because they're able to actually try and engage and do here. And on the bottom left, I'm not sure if this was more fun for me or the student, but it was a blast. It comes from one of our volunteers. And then finally, Science Garage is the high school program. And this is it's a 4-year biotech pathway. Every student in the school district takes a 1-month-long biotech class embedded in biology. And then they take biotech 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then they do independent studies and potentially internships at Genentech. We are going to, at the start of this academic year, have over 1,000 kids annually being a part of this biotech pathway. Right now we are piloting volunteers going into the classroom where they're either lab volunteers helping the teachers to prepare for the labs, to execute those labs, or to follow up on those labs afterwards, or coming in to talk about be a guest lecturer and talk to, what are they doing in their jobs at Genentech? How do the labs that the kids are learning right now relate back to the real world industry practices that are happening at Genentech as we go from discovery through development, manufacturing, and commercialization. And a sneak peek here at the building that is going to be ribbon cut in September. This is a beautiful space. It is going to be a place that all of the students from South San Francisco are going to be going to as they study Biotech 3 and 4 and doing their independent studies. And it's a place that we hope will really inspire the next generation of students, or scientists, I should say. And then just to round out the picture, Future Lab is those 3 big programs. It's also a lot more than that. Every classroom, every teacher in South City gets a $500 grant from Genentech annually to figure out what they need, because teachers buy Kleenex boxes and they buy all sorts of stuff to support their classrooms. It's also professional development for every science teacher annually in the school district. It's for every science classroom, field trips. There weren't field trips in South City for 10 years until we started doing this 2 years ago. It's for scholarships as well, and we give out 2 $50,000 per year scholarships to the best and brightest at the high schools. And then finally, it's in-kind donations of our computers and iPads and tech. There's a bunch of pro bono that goes into this around IT systems, et cetera. And finally, we've really been engaging our broad employee base in this. There are over 1,300 Genentech employees who on an annual basis are giving about 25,000 hours of their time to this particular initiative with South City. And I think that's it. So thank you. Sorry for the video and everything like that.